Pain wasn't evil because he enjoyed suffering. He became terrifying because he understood it too well. In Naruto, most villains want power, revenge, or destruction. Pain wanted peace. And somehow, that made him even more dangerous, because his ideology wasn't built on fantasy, it was built on experience. Nagato grew up in a world destroyed by war, not metaphorically, literally. As a child, he watched his parents die in front of him because shinobi mistook them for enemies. That moment changed everything, not just because he lost his family, but because he learned a cruel truth very early. Good people suffer just as easily as bad people. The world didn't care about innocence, and once you realize that, it changes how you see humanity forever. At first, Nagato still believed in hope. He believed people could understand each other, that peace could exist through compassion. That belief came from Yahiko. Yahiko dreamed about ending the cycle of hatred without violence, but the world crushed that dream. And when Yahiko died, so did the version of Nagato that believed kindness alone could save people. That's the moment Pain was born, not from hatred, from disappointment. Because Pain looked at the world and saw something Naruto didn't fully understand yet. People only understand suffering when they experience it themselves. That was the foundation of his philosophy, not justice, not morality, pain. And honestly, that idea is uncomfortable because there's truth in it. Human history is filled with cycles of violence. War creates grief, grief creates hatred, hatred creates revenge, and then the cycle repeats. Pain believed humanity would never escape that cycle naturally, so he came up with a horrifying solution. If the world experienced enough suffering all at once, people would fear war so deeply that peace would finally exist. Temporary peace built through shared trauma. That's what made Pain such a compelling villain. He wasn't lying to himself. He knew his methods were cruel, but from his perspective, cruelty already ruled the world anyway. He simply wanted to control it. That's why his conversation with Naruto feels so powerful even today, because Naruto couldn't immediately prove him wrong. Pain asked a terrifying question: how do you create peace without more suffering? And honestly, there's no easy answer. Naruto wanted to believe people could understand each other emotionally. Pain believed people only change through loss. Both perspectives came from trauma, but Pain had experienced so much death that hope started feeling naive to him. That's why he stopped seeing individuals. He only saw patterns. War, hatred, revenge, repeat. Again and again, until humanity destroys itself. And the scary part, a lot of people watching understood Pain more than they expected to. Not because they agreed with him, but because his frustration felt real. People hurt each other constantly. History repeats itself constantly. Violence creates more violence constantly. Pain didn't invent that truth. He just stopped pretending it wasn't real. But Naruto's response matters too, because Naruto doesn't defeat Pain by proving suffering is fake. He defeats him by refusing to surrender to it. That's the difference between them. Pain experienced suffering and concluded humanity was hopeless. Naruto experienced suffering and decided to keep believing anyway. That belief sounds simple, but in a broken world, hope is one of the hardest things to hold on to. That's why Pain remains one of anime's greatest villains, not because he was unstoppable, not because he was powerful, but because part of what he said felt true. He forced people to confront a painful reality. peace is fragile. Human beings hurt each other constantly, and suffering changes people forever. But maybe the reason Naruto wins emotionally is because he proves something pain forgot. Pain can teach understanding, but compassion can break the cycle. And even if that hope sounds unrealistic, without it, the world only becomes exactly what Pain believed it already was. So maybe Pain was right about the world, but Naruto was right about what it still could become. And that's what makes their conflict unforgettable.